Hello and welcome to Heartrepreneur TV. I'm your co-host, Velma Gallant. Super excited to be here today. We have a very special guest to share with you, and I'm really excited about this conversation. Our topic today is the 7 pillars of purposeful leadership. This is a conversation I'm going to absolutely love, and I know you're going to get a ton of value out of it as well. Alona Lapari is the CEO of the Life School, where they help visionary leaders grow legacy, purpose driven businesses through inner alignment, branding, marketing, sales, and team so that they can maximize their impact and income to do more good in the world. She's a former Fortune 500 executive, keynote speaker, and best-selling author of multiple books. Alona has been featured in multiple well-known publications such as Disrupt, New York Weekly, Business Insider, CEO Weekly, and the Business News, Famous Times, and a whole lot more. So welcome to the show, Alona.
Well, I'm so grateful that you're having me here. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm blessed to be here and looking forward to adding value with this conversation around leadership today.
So I mentioned to you before we got on the call that this is something that I find extremely fascinating. I've been touching on this conversation for probably more than 15 years. And in all actuality, my experience as a parent was probably the best leadership ground I could have ever been in. We're talking today about the 7 pillars of purposeful leadership. But before we dive into that, I'm kind of curious. You've named your business the Life School. I'm kind of curious why you picked that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for the reference for that you made between leadership and parenting, because I refer to that very often as well, and I feel there's so much similarities there. But the Life School came from a insight that I had through a meditation session based on the work that I was doing, which was a couple of years ago now, and just through my own personal journey and experience, and through the experience of helping so many other people in my 20-year career now, counting the 15 years I worked for a corporation. I realized that, wait a minute, life is just like school, and especially entrepreneurship. We always learning and growing in the journey and channel or vehicle that we now choose to be able to serve others and to do more good in the world. That, every day it's like a learning and growing experience, and the more you grow and level up yourself, the more you get to share that experience with other people. And a lot of the times the skills that we have not learned in traditional school, it's now we're finding ways to be able to learn those, whether it's through the investment of so many ways that we get to learn today. So that's kind of how that came about. And I said, okay, because I'm also dedicating my life to being a lifelong learner, someone that is choosing the vehicle of entrepreneurship is also probably very interested in always learning and growing, because your personal growth is very directly correlated with your business growth. And I'm like, okay, I think that is the name. So it's just, I wrote it down as soon as it came to me as a download and an insight. And I said, all right, that speaks to me. And I also saw the vision of how I can expand that as well later on beyond just entrepreneurship, because I've always been, that's the leadership aspect, which I discovered. I was very blessed to discover that I have a very strong leadership quality around people, just getting people together for a common cause, common values, common purpose. I said, okay, with the Life School, I can expand beyond entrepreneurship, because it's not just business, right? We also have other important areas of our lives, which is our relationships, our health, our wealth. So that name will allow me the chance to be able to expand my impact over the years. That this is my life's mission, so there's no end to this. So as long as I physically can do it, I'm just going to stay on the journey and just keep creating impact.
I love that. I love that. I love that what you're creating has so much opportunity to expand, because really, I agree with you. Life for me has been probably a beautiful, not probably, it has been a beautiful training ground for me. And that's been both inside of business, inside of career moves, inside of my family, inside of my friendships, all of it. Right. So I can definitely see the possibilities and I probably can't even see a quarter of the possibilities. I'm sure you do with respect to what's possible in your company. So let's touch back to the 7 pillars of purposeful leadership. What are you trying to communicate with this before we get into those 7 pillars?
Yeah, it's really looking at leadership a little bit differently from maybe what we traditionally have seen in leadership, and putting the purpose behind the work that we do first and then align our profit with it second. I've seen it firsthand where a company culture that focuses and prioritizes profit first could really create a lot of toxicity in the culture, and people don't feel appreciated, valued, and like they're contributing. And that was why I actually started looking for other avenues in my life when I worked for corporate in the very high role of the regional director that I was in. And when the culture turned very profit driven, I saw the direct correlation of that, and also the retention of the team, and also, of course, the decline of the results that the company was measuring with their customer delight scores or even engagement scores for their team or even their turnover percent. So I'm like, this is definitely absolutely directly correlated, and that's also what made me. I felt like a number, so that's kind of where I started looking for other ways to be able to continue what I had learned and figure out another thing that I was going to do. That's where entrepreneurship showed up for me. I was never an entrepreneur. I never thought I would be one. So it just was in the search of me being independent, utilizing my skills, and also choosing where I would focus my time and energy, and what was that problem that I wanted to solve in the world in that unique way. So that's kind of how it showed up for me. And yeah, in a nutshell, I think the different approach that I take around purposeful leadership in even my latest book that I launched is, as leaders, we need to always be not only lifelong learners, but also conscious, always working on our awareness and always working on our inner world and alignment and authenticity. Because the more we do that, the more then we can create a purpose driven culture. We can build healthy relationships, whether it's with our clients, our teams, our communities, but also we can ensure that we don't have those side effects that we always hear around people that are building a successful company, of burnout, of bad relationships, of health kind of going on the wayside, all these other side effects that I think the old dynamic of how we were taught to lead no longer serves us with all this information that we now have, and even how we're all progressing in the maturity of the personal development field, and also what science is also discovering nowadays. So it's just a new paradigm of leadership that I live in, and and embody with my team every day. And I just really feel like looking at it this way, not only will you be fulfilled, because I think that's the next level of success, it's fulfillment, but you're also a very healthy individual in all aspects. So of course, your company is going to be very healthily growing. You're going to create impact, and you're also going to be able to align a lot of your profits. So you could take those profits and be investing back in your company, or contribute toward other causes in society that you'd like to make a meaningful change around. So each his own, but with that alignment, which is almost like counter what we have learned, I think we could do so much more good in the world.
Without a doubt. I mean, I know that, I've been in corporate for many years as well, and have experienced that transition to profit first. There was one organization that I was really excited to work with. It felt like their people mattered. And then partway through the experience, that started to shift, and those dollars became really important. And I do get why that happens. It's a very fear-based way of doing business, in my view. And I get why it happens, because it often happens when, oh goodness, something's going wrong. We better start paying close attention to these numbers. It just, it feels like it ends up being an anchor in the business rather than something that's enhancing the business, like, for example, purpose, which you were talking about. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think I want to preface, given that our audience here, a majority of them are entrepreneurs with varying different sizes of organizations, you still have a team and you still need to lead, and your team is going to grow. So you better grow your leadership skills no matter where you are in your business. So thank you. That was some really important stuff. So when it comes to the 7 pillars, um, are they specific pillars that we want to pay attention to?
Yeah. So if I were to articulate the 7 pillars, or I guess areas of focus, or principles, because I like talking about that, principles, fundamentals, things that um, are repeated over and over that I've seen in my experience. But I would say the number one is work on our consciousness and our awareness level, which is the conscious leadership. The other one is align always your purpose with profit. And even I love that you mentioned that the audience listening to us is at various stages of entrepreneurship. But I really feel like it always starts with us, right? Even if you're a solopreneur, if you don't have a very clear purpose around the work that you're doing, the journey is just too challenging. If it's not going to be worth it enough for you, if it's not your calling, if it's not something you really believe in, then you're not even going to want to take the actions or learn through those challenges that you'll face to be able to be successful in the journey and align that purpose with profit. So I would say that would be the second pillar. And then the third pillar is around workplace culture. We talked about nowadays with the maturation or the maturity level of the personal development field, and also where the world is going, where people can work from anywhere and everywhere. People are choosing to work on things that they care about. And if they're going to align under your vision, mission, and your entrepreneurship umbrella, let's call it, right? If they're going to come under your company, because right now we only have two models in our society. I think another one will eventually start to surface up with AI, but that's just something in the near future that's happening. But that's based on my perspective or my trained eye on where we're heading as far as innovation. But yeah, whether they're coming under your company as an entrepreneur or whether they are an entrepreneur, I think at the end of the day, people want to get to the basic needs of humans, which is contribution. They want to work for something that they care about, and they also want to learn and grow. So if your vision is not big enough to kind of carry everyone with you alongside, it's almost like everybody's connected together. So if you don't grow, the people around you are going to eventually maybe be there for a certain phase and stage. And that's okay too. I don't think we can carry over all our team with us for the years that we're going to be in business. But I think that by looking at that, wider view with the vision and mission that you have, you're able to implement those things in your company that are going to keep the retention there for longer, right? Because we all know how much, replacing people costs, and all the energy and investment that you have put into the people that you are hiring. So I would say, the changes in workplace culture definitely dictate for being a more purposeful leader. And then the fourth pillar is around the AI and technology, or where we're heading. What are the skills that we need to automate and use systems for, and how to implement that in our day-to-day, but also be able to really coach our team for creativity, coach them for problem solving skills, coach them as the transformative leadership, under the transformative leadership model, and not the top to bottom. Like, here's what I'm going to give you and delegate. So, and that's what you do, because you will always be connected to them and you're never empowering your team. So work more on the coaching aspect with the team. How is it that you can help them develop creative skills and critical thinking skills? So that would be the other one. And then it's also the piece around the health of the organization as a whole. So how do we now ensure that all the right systems and all the right departments are in the right place, all working in harmony towards that same vision and mission that you have for the company, and the values that you have for your company? So, that's it takes orchestrating, but just like anything, we want to all harmonize our personal lives, and we want to do the same with our company. So I think those are, some of the pillars that I talk about in the book in depth, and also with research. But it's really, at the end of the day, if I were to recap all the pillars in one, it's you doing the work first, and then helping and aligning the right people around you to be able to scale, duplicate, and grow your company for bigger impact and purpose. And it all begins with you as the leader. Just like anything else, we can't control everything else outside us, but we can control, our own learning and growth and ability of skills that we need and knowledge. So the more you do that, the more you'll know exactly how to align with the right people. And then the last part is a gift. I think the basis of leadership is aligning, bringing yourself in your company people that have complementary gifts.
Mm.
We do that, the stronger we are, right? Because everyone can work on their own purpose, right? If somebody thinks that, their purpose or they're gifted in a certain area, that's them fulfilling their purpose. So now your purpose becomes, how do we now bring other people under our company that are fulfilling their purpose? So that's how we grow, multiply, and expand at the next level.
I love that. I love that a lot. Some of the things that I heard there was that leadership starts with leading ourselves, right? And that is where you said, it starts with you, with your learning, your growing, your consciousness, that kind of thing. So I love that. And, there's a lot of talk out there about great leaders. Great leaders grow great leaders. And that's what I'm hearing in this is creating these great leaders where they start leading themselves in their lives. You were talking about workplace culture and coaching towards creativity and creating that health of the organization. You're also talking about making sure that you're supporting your team to align with what their passions and purpose are. And that speaks to that zone of genius, right?
Yes.
Helping people to live in their zone of genius. And you were referencing a healthy organization, and I kind of went to like looking at a body, right? And so that would be making sure that each part of that organization's body is as healthy as it can possibly be, which is going to be on purpose, right? Living in their zone of genius. I love that. I love that a lot. You brought up intrapreneurship. Now, I've heard that before. Let's talk a little bit about that, because that's often the people that we have inside of our teams, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was an entrepreneur when I worked for corporate. So it's really when you are under whatever compensation model. I mean, it doesn't always have to be salary or hourly. These are the more traditional ones that we know of. But today, in today's world, you can also be an entrepreneur where you're advancing a lot of your own purposes independently, but you're also contributing towards somebody else. And that's a partnership business model. And I definitely see this as really where we're heading, and where a lot of companies that are innovative really understand the value of this, and moving away from the fear model and mindset back to what we're talking about with making decisions out of fear and out of scarcity or lack of, or setting out fires. I would think that it would change. It would take a mindset shift for a lot of leaders to be able to overcome a lot of their own insecurity around, well, if I'm empowering somebody to be able to grow their own thing, then eventually they will leave. And I say, just like anything, well, let them leave, then we can partner in other ways. Because at the end of the day, we rise together. So we can't have this very, very narrow mindset around, okay, well, I invested time and energy into someone, so maybe one day they will leave. There's definitely absolutely so many other opportunities that you can align with them, where you can create strategic win-wins that will benefit both parties. So as long as we focus more on our values, in the way that we operate, and we work on those insecurities that we have as a individual or even as a culture or as a company altogether, the more we can then empower the people around us to be able to give them the freedom that they're looking for as well to explore things independently. Because I have found, Velma, that if we are focused on building genuine relationships that are authentic and not transactional, people that already know, like, and trust you will always be there for you because that reciprocity has been built over the years. So
Mm-hmm.
they will admire you and you'll admire them, and you'll find beautiful ways to complement your gifts, your abilities, and unite resources. I mean, I've been able to grow my company very fast because I've only been an entrepreneur for 5 years through strategic partnerships. I'm a big believer in the leadership aspect of another person, even if they do the same thing that I do. Let's look at creatively, look at those gaps that we can both fill, and let's bring our resources together so that we can both win. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have this mindset with your team, besides traditionally the compensation structures that we are used to, you'll be unstoppable because obviously the opportunities are limitless because people are going to grow and they're going to evolve. And as they grow and evolve, you'll grow and evolve together.
Without a doubt. So entrepreneurship, what I'm hearing with that is basically it's an entrepreneur inside someone else's organization. Like they still have that creative, passionate self. They're not just a robot in a very rote type of a role. They've got that creativity that is an entrepreneur, and it sounds like that's what you had inside of your executive work and stuff like that. Was you obviously had that entrepreneur creativity even though you hadn't stepped out into your own business at that point.
Absolutely. And I think we're all entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs because what is entrepreneurship at the end of the day? Solving a unique problem and offering a unique solution. When I was working under a company, I was placed in those positions because of that unique ability that I had to utilize my purpose and be able to add value with that. When we hire an IT person, that's their purpose and gifts that they're also contributing towards your company with. So I think we all, if we lean on talents and skills, I think that's the way to define this. And yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, in the traditional world, it would be an employee, right, that worked under a bigger brand than an umbrella, which was my case and the case of, I guess, a lot of people that have worked for other people in their past or future. But it's, even if you look at that within their roles, they're gifted in those roles. They gain a lot of experience, they gain a lot of skills. So they could potentially take that now with today's economy and globalization and also offer that to other people beyond, what they're doing with a specific company, right? So it's just bigger now. It's just bigger. It's nothing to be scary about. It's just a matter of expanding and looking at new ways of working and collaborating. That's kind of what I foresee. But yeah, that's how I see it. Maybe it's the old form employee, and it's more in the skilled economy, the entrepreneur working under someone else's umbrella for whatever amount of time.
Well, we're even seeing stuff like that happening inside of like executive roles. Like I keep seeing things like fractional CEO and fractional CFO and stuff like that. So really that's those individuals taking their skill in those environments and being out there helping other organizations with those skills. So that's like an example of taking that and creating your own thing with it. So there's lots of opportunities
Just
out there.
back of that, that's what I do for bigger companies. I'm the fractional COO, right? So, you know, with AI, a lot of obviously process oriented positions can be replaced. So, what will remain? The creativity, the skill that someone can do, the partnership, the collaboration. Those
Mhm.
things are what we need in today's world and where we're also heading. So, yes, absolutely.
Well, and I love your philosophy around collaboration and moving towards those people who are doing similar things to you. I know when I had my first coaching business, that was one of the things that I consciously chose to do, because if somebody was triggering me and I got like fear or competition or whatever, it was like, okay, I'm moving towards that person because there's something there for me, right? It was a conscious decision. That's, part of that life school thing that you promote is using those things as a growth opportunity rather than going into fear and competition. It was like, okay, no, I have to go that direction. I have to connect with that person. There's something there for me, because even if someone is doing the same thing as you, what if you have like complementary skills and talents, and what kind of impact could that create for the people around you? So I love that that's your philosophy.
Other people are just mirrors to our inner work. When we do feel those feelings, they're giving you a gift. I say thank you. You just gave me a gift so that I could take a look at this deeper and figure out, why am I feeling jealousy? Why am I feeling competitive? Why am I feeling not good enough? That's where the work is. So
Mhm.
mirrors to our inner work. But yeah, I think that collaboration and the next level, especially with how unique we all are as individuals, even when two people do the same thing. I have a different life journey that I've been under through, right? And somebody else has a different unique experience. So that's why people talk about the same topic, but it's just like art. It's very artsy. It's like an art and a science, right? It's very artsy because people look at art and we all, see different things because of our life's worldview and perception and all of that. I look at, two humans the same. Even if we teach the same topic, there's somebody that sees something in me and another person sees something in someone else. So now how can we collaborate and bring both humans together so they learn something from everybody? Which is why the big piece and word for me with my company Life School is experience, life
Mhm.
experience. And that is so unique, and we always will learn from other people, from human to human experience. That's how we've done it for years, and that's how we're going to continue to do it, because we're social animals at the end of the day. So I think that's why I value experience very much.
Well, and I love that too, because I've always said that the reason we have so many teachers is because we've got twice as many ears. And so somebody's going to hear something in a different way from someone else. And what really matters is that it gets through. What really matters is that it's making a difference. So if I'm connecting somebody to someone else, that's because that's who their ears need to hear. And I still get to be the contribution to them because I'm connecting them to their teacher.
Or, oh God.
So I love that philosophy, and I know that's a lot of what you end up doing with your life school, because I know you do tend to do a lot of interviews as well with a variety of different people.
Yeah, I live out that mission in my life because I love connecting people together, connecting ideas together, connecting experiences together, connecting like-minded values together, like-minded visions together. People are all doing pretty much very unique things in the world in very unique way, but we all have things in common. So like I like connecting dots. That's kind of what my that's my talent is, right? And I just like honed it over the years. And I've seen that in leadership and business is where it's strongest, which is why I stay in this. And that's what it's connected to why I was born and my purpose. But yeah, I mean, I told you at the beginning that I love creating these environments because it's like every day I'm learning and growing from everyone, and I value everyone's perception and experience. Because again, that's why I value books, especially as well, or courses or trainings, because I'm like, if I'm reading their life experience, if it took them 20 years to gather those principles that we're sharing here, or fundamentals or methodologies or whatever we want to call it, patterns that have repeated, now they're shortcutting my journey and my learning, and I could take that and in 100 pages take their 10 years of life experience and condense that and create bigger impact for myself, right? I'm still going to learn through my life experience, but how much more can I learn from others, right? So it just becomes an addictive in a good way, an addictive process of learning and growing, and the more you know, the more you can make the right decisions for yourself, moving you forward faster towards the thing you want to do. Because the biggest the scarcity that we all encounter is time, right? Time is going. I mean, now that I'm getting almost to the next decade, it's like, oh my gosh, do I have enough time to do all the things that I want to do? And every day, especially when you are fulfilled in the work you do, and you take care of yourself spiritually, physically, mentally, in all those dimensions, it feels like every day is a new day, and it feels like, oh, I'm just getting started. I don't know if anybody else has this feeling, but it never feels like you're tired. You're like, oh, I'm just getting started. I have so much more to do in the world, right? So I don't know, it all feeds into each other, but I value experience, and that's something that I always do with even bringing people together and sharing that and learning and growing together. I think we all rise together. So yeah,
we definitely do. So your latest book is The 7 Pillars of Purposeful Leadership. Is that correct?
Yep. So my latest book is Purpose Driven Leadership. I had a copy, but it's not next to me right now. It's called Purpose Driven Leadership. Yes, I'm just launched.
Perfect. Okay. So we could probably find information about the different books that you have available, your different programs and everything like that at your website. Would that be correct?
Yep, right on my website, I have a tab for Alona's books, and that Alona Barry Coaching / Alona's books, and they'll see all my books on there, including the latest one.
Brilliant. So for those of you out there, this is her website, her main website, and I know that you can find Alona on a lot of the socials out there because I found her. So you can find her there, and definitely connect to the work that she's doing. If you're looking to grow your business and create it with a little bit more purpose, then this is what you need to look at. We need to talk more about leadership inside of our entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for joining me, Alona. I really enjoyed this conversation with you today.
Likewise, it was a blessing. Thank you so much for having me here.
And so for those of you inside of the community, if you're listening to this on replay, hit #replay, share with us at least one of the juicy bites that you got out of this. We'd love to hear this. Alona is inside of our community. So if you have any questions for her, you can pop them into this conversation as well. And for those of you out in YouTube land, come on over to Heartpreneurs with Terry Levine. We've had the group name scrolling underneath us for the entirety of this conversation. We'd love to have you. You can connect with more heart-based business owners like myself, like Alona, and like Terry. We'd love to have you. Have an absolutely brilliant day.